Yo. I guess you really wanna know, That's your problem, yeah. Check it, She keep asking where I've been, I ask her why she wanna know.
So guys, it's Free Game Podcast right now with our second episode. It's EJ Edinburgh, Madman League, Sean P. So on tonight's episode, we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl and what happened about a couple weeks ago now. Super Bowl aftermath. Eagles beating the Patriots 41-33. So as we get into this right now, we at first we did a bet with each other about who was gonna win. Me and Sean had both chose the Patriots to win in the Super Bowl. My score was 27-24 Patriots. You had.
My score was, I think it was 27-24, 24-21, around there.
And this fool league, he ended up winning the carne asada fries, and he's eating them right now, big right in front of us.
You gotta eat them right
so,
there.
Yeah, I mean, we allowing this to happen on
that's
live,
cool.
whatever. That's fine.
I mean, Saint Nick brought this for me for Christmas.
Why don't you give folks some of the carne asada fries?
Yeah,
Call him up. Call him up.
He deserve it.
Yeah, but League ended up winning the pot. He said the Eagles were gonna win, and they end up coming out victorious in a big championship game. So let's just touch on a little bit. We're a little removed from it, but just talk about a little bit what you saw in that in the victory for the Eagles. What did you like from them? What happened to the Patriots? Just kind of how you feeling about that?
I mean, it was a lot that the Eagles did. I mean, we talked about in the last episode that the Eagles were going to have to do certain things. They were going to have to, commit not a lot of penalties, which they only committed 2 penalties the whole entire game. They were going to have to be good on third downs. At one point on third down conversions, they were, I think, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Foles was going to have to play damn near impeccably and flawlessly, which he did. Nick Foles basically had the game of his life. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think he would be able to replicate what he did just prior to a couple weeks before the Super Bowl, but he did. Alshon also made a huge impact on the game in the first half. The running game. We all three had talked about in the last episode that in order for the Eagles to beat the Patriots, they were going to have to get 100 plus, specifically in rushing. They did. LeGarrette Blount with Jay Ajayi, and then you also have the rookie, Corey Clement. He ended up having 100 receiving yards in the whole game and made a big seam catch, too, also in the game. So there were a lot of things that they did. Doug Peterson also called a crazy impeccable game, damn near perfect, and he kept on Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He kept being aggressive, not only in the first half, but in the second half. That's what you have to do to beat a team like that. So my tip of the cap goes off to the Eagles. I mean, they performed well. I was definitely happy to see that they rose to the occasion in the prime time.
Yeah, that was big. So Lee, I mean, how did you kind of see this coming? What did you see from the Eagles before that?
I mean, what happened was on Super Bowl Eve, I stayed up late. I laid out my cookies and my eggnog. And I knew that St. Nick would come home and return the favor.
Wow.
And that's what we got.
Okay.
I mean, Christmas came early in Philly, just like the prophecy writ. So,
the prophecy.
It was prophesied. It was prophesied. That and I knew he had the ability to do it. The weapons we talked about, we basically knew that the Eagles had to play a perfect game. And when you look back at it, they damn near did. There was one punt in the entire game between both teams, so both offenses were able to do what they wanted to do. All it took was for one team to get a huge stop, and it just so happened that the way the clock management went for the Eagles, Doug Peterson calling a good game, that Brady wasn't able to get the ball back again with enough time, ended on that Hail Mary once they finally did get their defensive stop. The strip sack, obviously, was the defensive play of the game, but that was able to leave so little time on the clock that Tom wasn't able to finally work his last little work of magic. So, I mean, in conjunction, everything, Doug Peterson, how he called the game, the running attack, the offense, the defense coming up with one big play, they was able to get it done. on the shoulders of St. Nick. 4 touchdowns, 300 plus, 3 touchdowns, 373 yards, 1 pick that wasn't even on him. It was just a random play. Receiver tried to make a play.
Well, he did have 4 touchdowns. He had the big
receiving touchdown.
Receiving touchdown. Yeah, so three throwing touchdowns.
I mean, so what did you say?
That was a ridiculous. I'm not even gonna. That was a ridiculous play call. At the time that they did that, that was a tremendous play call.
He wanted that play call too. Nick Foles wanted that play call.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah,
he caught it. Tom Brady dropped his pass.
Yeah, I was about to say Tom Brady dropped his.
Tom Brady dropped his. So.
Yeah, what I liked about from the Super Bowl and the Eagles win was in a game like that, kind of we talked about this before, defensive winning championships, and in a game like that where you have a shootout and both offenses are looking flawless. There was only 1 sack in the game, and that ended up being the game winning sack. Yeah, the strip sack. But like we talked about, the offenses were flawless, and it ended up just coming down to that strip sack. And that's what we talked about defense winning championships, and in a shootout like that, it's always going to be that first team to get the defensive stop.
To get that one stop.
And if you watch the whole game, you can see the Eagles, they were going to get that stop. I mean, they were at times you can see the pass rush getting closer, getting ready.
Closer.
Yeah, they were getting closer and closer as the game went on. And there were even times within the game that their defensive pressure, they didn't get the sack, but they were rushing them, making Tom Brady rush some of his throws. Because, Tom Brady had a few throws that were, easy for Tom Brady. But, some of the defensive pressure got to him a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, just having that kind of, still in a Super Bowl game and in a shootout like that, having a defense, come up in the clutch like that, it's always good to see. But
Nick Foles over the shoulder down to Alshon on the sideline.
Oh yeah, that first
Nick
touchdown.
Foles down the seam to Corey Clement in the end zone. Nick Foles over the middle of the Ertz for the 3rd down conversion.
Peterson was big. I mean, the coaching was big because we had talked about the Jaguars coaching not being as aggressive in the second half.
Exactly. You have to be aggressive.
You have to be aggressive.
He kept the foot on the gas the whole time.
He kept the foot on the gas. Kyle Shanahan didn't.
See?
So I mean, he did.
But Peterson proved it with that trick play. He was aggressive. He took chances and he took risks, and that's what you got to do.
Didn't he go for it on 4th down 2 times?
Yeah.
Was it 2 different 4th
One
downs?
was the Nick Foles.
One was the Nick Foles. Yeah.
So that sort of aggressiveness from a coach in the Super Bowl, you don't get that often, and it worked out for him, and it was good for the Eagles right there to get that win. And Nick Foles did his thing, got you them carne asada fries. So, I'm gonna give you that. And let's transition right now into the NBA. There's a lot of big things going on in the NBA right now as in regards to the trade deadline that just happened because we got into the All-Star break, so that means we're at the halfway point of the season. And the biggest trade obviously was the Cleveland Cavaliers trade. They let go of Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Derrick Rose, Shumpert, and Fry, and got Jordan Clarkson, George Hill, Rodney Hood, and Larry Nance in return. And that was big just because, we had talked about Cleveland in a previous episode and the struggles that they had. And we were trying to figure out, is this team going to be the team that can knock out the Warriors this year?
Can they even get past the Celtics?
Could they even get past the Celtics? So let's talk about that trade a little bit, Leak. Do you like this trade? How do you feel about it possibly being, this matchup against the Warriors in the finals? Do you think this team matches up against them? How do you feel about this trade?
I definitely like the trade. I mean, obviously you're losing Isaiah Thomas. If you're looking at Isaiah Thomas for what he was supposed to be, then it's a little more difficult to handle. But I mean, obviously you can't take him at face value right now. You can't evaluate Isaiah Thomas based off what he's done in the past. He hasn't looked up to par this year, be it the system he was in, be it playing with LeBron, be it because of his hip. Whatever that reason was, he's not the same Isaiah Thomas that they went out and got. So I like the trade for them in that regard. You got back some young guys, obviously 4 25-year-olds that are young and energetic, get a chance to play with the best player in the world, know that if they perform and do their part, they have a chance to get to the finals and contend for a championship. So that trade, it's a good trade for Cleveland, and it also sets them up for if LeBron decides to jump ship. So I like the trade for Cleveland in that regards. Do I see it as the team that can take out the Warriors? Maybe. I would like it more if they had a full training camp and a full off season to prepare with each other.
Me too. That's
my main issue with
That's
it.
big.
You got coming off in the All-Star game, you got what 25, 26 games on the back end of the season.
Yeah,
is that enough time to get these dudes in shape to compete at the level that LeBron plays at? Not only that, you have players like Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance who haven't seen a playoff game. Don't know what it's like to be in those type of huge games.
Oh, you know, that's
You got Rodney Hood who's played some playoff games. He's a great player. You know, Rodney Hood I think will fit right in and come in and get buckets off the bench and defend.
Yeah, and George Hill's played, some.
And George Hill's still a vet. George Hill's been in big games. He's a vet.
But he's definitely got the most out of all of them.
Jordan Clarkson is going to be the most key component to that.
Exactly.
Because he's going to be the one that has to. He's the young guy that's going to have to take a lot of the load off. No Derrick Rose now. No Derrick Rose now. No Isaiah Thomas. You're the de facto point guard of the team now. You're pretty much the best point guard on the team besides LeBron. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be
honestly taking on a primary scoring role too.
Yeah. Oh no, he's gonna be counted on it. No, definitely.
Yeah. At this point, he's arguably a better scorer than George Hill even at that position.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Facts.
Yeah. It's gonna be on him a lot. Larry Nance, you just need him to be an energy, hustle, dirty work, offensive rebound, put back type guy, energy type guy. So him, you don't have to really worry about as much. He just gotta work hard.
And Rodney Hood's gonna get his open shots. His open threes.
Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson gonna see those.
It's gonna be about time. If they have enough time to get it to work, then it can be good.
So Sean, this is your team.
So that's on you.
This segment really about you. And you rocking the throwback jersey. You know what I'm saying?
You acting like this all y'all ever did, so y'all better win.
You crying about Kyrie right now too. You know what I'm saying? I need him back. I need him back in my life.
Man, I wish we had Kyrie back, man. I still that hurts me, man. It hurts, but
I gave you a ring.
I definitely like the additions that they made and the acquisitions that they got through, from the trade deadline. You can see even just in a small sample size in 2 games, it's high spirit, it's energy. You got 3 25-year-olds, number one, and then you also have a veteran in George Hill. Those 4 were all in situations where they may not even made the playoffs on a couple of those situations. And then you had another situation that Rodney Hood was in where the Utah Jazz were kind of tired of him a little bit. That relationship was kind of strained somewhat.
And the step up of Donovan Mitchell kind of put him a little bit on the outs of him being that kind of...
They're not a playoff team no more without Hayward and Rudy getting hurt.
Oh, no, that's facts. No, that's facts too. And I definitely think that now this makes them a better defensive team, at least somewhat. That's going to take some time, especially when it comes to, chemistry on defense as well as offense. And kind of to Lee's point, is there going to be enough time for them to get enough camaraderie, enough chemistry? When it comes to the offenses, most offenses throughout the league run a lot of the same stuff, a lot of similar things. I'm not really scared about what they're gonna do on offense. I know what they'll do on offense. If anything, they actually added better shooting at this point, and a lot more athleticism, more versatility. You can do a lot more with Rodney Hood and guys like guys like Rodney Hood over a Crowder for what Crowder was giving you at this point. Guys like Jordan Clarkson for what D Rose and D Wade and IT were really giving you. Jordan Clarkson can replace that value and can replace the scoring load and is younger and is more athletic. When it comes down to it, in order to win the championship, you're going to need young and older players. You're going to need some young legs in there and you're going to need some veterans. I definitely wish they would have found a way to maybe try to keep D Wade or something like that because he's been in big games. He's been in the championship. He's been in the finals. He's won rings before, but his playing time was about to get dwindled down and his playing time was about to get decreased as well. So I think the moves that they made, were perfect for them at the time. They realized that the players that they had acquired in the offseason weren't really going to get it done, so they needed to make a move. And I felt like, they definitely made a huge improvement, for them to now, fight against the Celtics for who's going to come out the East.
Yeah, and I think what I like about this trade most, and what I think too, coming from athletes' perspectives, is when you're in a situation when you're enjoying the sport that you're playing. You know what I'm saying? I think we kind of take that for granted sometimes. We just kind of look at, you know what I'm saying, the accumulation of players you get, and we kind of expect them, well, you know what I'm saying, you're Isaiah Thomas, you're Jay Crowder. It's your work. Yeah, it's your work. And I mean, realistically, it should. I feel like, you know, in a situation, especially in the NBA, you should put away, you know, petty differences and find a way to make it work. But that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with players like Isaiah Thomas who's worried about getting a paycheck. Jay Crowder not being the player he used to be.
And he just lost his mom in the offseason.
Yeah. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that, you know, come in between players and whatnot. And obviously it was a toxic locker room that they weren't getting along. There's a lot of sound bites of them going at each other. A lot of team meetings trying to figure out where players
Stop
have been.
talking,
Derrick Rose was leaving.
They was running up on K-Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love left for the middle of a game.
Kevin Love ain't even do nothing, y'all.
Yeah, and I just think we take for granted.
That's the problem.
That's fine.
Kevin Love is second best player, but you know, I just think we take for granted that for sometimes, you know, just you know, in an athlete's perspective, you know, just considering, you know, what it's like to be on a team that you're enjoying the game, you're enjoying your teammates. You're enjoying, you know what I'm saying, the situation you're in and the role that you're playing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing, too, is that you're dealing with a lot of players now for the Cleveland Cavaliers who know their role. You know what I'm saying? They know they're Robin to a Batman. And they're willing to play that role to the best of their ability. Jordan Clarkson, you know, Rodney Hood, George Hill, you know, they were in different situations, probably not happy. Yeah. And, you know, they're coming to a situation where they're happy. They're with the best player on earth, not a flat earth. Not a flat earth.
Not a flat earth, really. It's still Bronze world, baby.
So, you know what I'm saying? I just think, you know, and like I said, coming from athlete's perspective, you know, you play baseball, you've been in situations where, you know, you like the game more some years than you do other years. And, you know, being on a football teams where, you know, I've been losing and then, you know, with the bit I've been winning and playing with players who, you know, commit to the system and commit to each other. It's a whole different feeling, a whole different situation. And I think, you know, as athletes and even on a professional level, we got to consider that. And I think that's what this trade did for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, it took away a situation that wasn't good for LeBron or those other players in general.
Yeah, the other players too.
I mean, yeah, you got to look at Isaiah, Jay Crowder, and we don't know all the details, but from the outside looking in, it looked like y'all blew it. I mean, you had a chance. You was on the best team in your conference. You had a chance. You was the favorite coming in to get to the finals. You got these new young guys who are coming in, getting traded for you, that are excited, gung-ho, all ready to play in the system that apparently you didn't want to be in.
Yeah. And that they should.
I mean, why is it that y'all are the only two players that never have played or, you know, fit in or got along in the LeBron system? He made Mario Chalmers look good. He made Norris Cole look good. He made, Mike Miller, Shane Battier, you know.
The list goes.
Everybody who played with him has looked good. Even D. Rose was balling when he wanted to hoop.
Even Mo Williams and Boobie Gibson.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on with y'all. I feel like it's like IT came in with 3, 4, 5 chips on his shoulder. That it's like
too many chips.
That burden is not really as heavy on you no more. You're not on your own. You don't have to carry that with you into the basketball arena. This is LeBron's burden that we worried about here.
Yeah, you don't have to carry the whole burden.
You know, you have your own things. You can go through that, but you don't necessarily have to bring that with you to the arena when you're on a LeBron team.
Yeah,
you know?
and
LeBron's carrying that burden.
And drawing the attention to yourself too, coming off an injury that he was coming off of, and how long he was out. Yeah, and it's
just feeding, wanting for attention. Just y'all know who I am, right? Y'all remember me, right?
The team has experienced adversity. Wait a second, you're giving this soundbite after a game when you played in 3 games.
Yeah, you can't.
What adverse situation are you talking about? You haven't even, first of all, you haven't even lived in Cleveland long enough. He hasn't lived in Cleveland long enough to feel adversity.
He had played like 9 games and had 5 sound bites criticizing the team. And I'm like, how are you saying all these things and you ain't even played? You ain't been there for 2 weeks healthy.
And then you can understand, you know what I'm saying, LeBron's frustrations and, you know what I'm saying, and this trade. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people sometimes too kind of wonder, like, with this trade, like, why would you give up, you know, these top players in a sense? And it, as you can see, it turned out really, you know, being for the better.
Because it's performance over names. It's a lot of times people will get too caught up on, a D Rose, a IT, a Jay Crowder, and then people that don't really watch a Rodney Hood or haven't really been watching George Hill in Sacramento because he played for the Kings, or haven't necessarily been watching Jordan Clarkson really and Larry Nance. Those players, if you watch basketball and you got to see exactly what they do, they've been playing better than the guys I named prior. So
I remember at the time too. I thought a Brooklyn team was going to be good when they had Darren Williams as the starting point guard, Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett at the power forward, and then Brook Lopez at the center. You know what I'm saying? I came into the season like, okay, Brooklyn Nets got a shot, especially in the Heat with the Heat.
Yeah, they gonna compete with the Heat.
Exactly, and it didn't work out at all. It didn't work at all. Like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett got traded that year, didn't they?
Yeah,
they got traded because they only played together that 1 year. Remember, Paul got traded to the Wizards. KG, I think, went back to the Timberwolves for the reunion.
Or was that his last?
That's what I'm saying. That was his last.
I mean, so as we talked about, like, sometimes you just, you see the players on paper and you're like, oh, this will work out. This should be good, and it just doesn't work like that sometimes.
I mean, I will throw out there because when the trade happened, I didn't believe it would work. The IT experiment. A lot of people was out there, oh, well, he's 95% of the player that Kyrie is. It's not that big of a drop-off. You have Crowder coming in. This trade, the Cavaliers have more depth now.
But it was reasonable to say that because he was averaging almost 30 games last year. He wasn't
healthy.
It was reasonable to say, but it's just a lot of people wasn't, eye test-wise, aren't able to see the difference between IT and Kyrie.
That's true.
And it's not really something on paper because, IT had a better statistical season. I never thought that Isaiah Thomas was a better player than Kyrie at any point.
No, not at any point.
You should never think that. But as in production-wise, if a player's going to give you 30 points, you're going to take it. I don't care who you get it from.
Well, that's
you know what I'm saying? And like, that's what you're expecting to get from him.
But it's important how is he getting them too, though, because as we saw in the little sample size that he had, it wasn't necessarily easier for him to get those points with LeBron. Whereas for Kyrie, it is easier for him to get his points with LeBron. For IT, it was easier for him to get his points without another player like that on the floor.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true to a certain extent.
But that's also a little bit going back to what you said about it being on him. Because there's no way you shouldn't be able to adjust with a LeBron type of player who's going to dig you the ball and get you open three-pointers.
At the end of the day, if it's a certain system, systems do fit certain people. But if you're a great scorer, which IT healthy is a really good scorer, there's ways where you should be able to be effective with another player that's actually facilitating the ball as his primary goal. His primary goal is to facilitate and make you better. So therefore, you have to be able to take that and like I said before, I mean, I wish he was healthy. I mean, so we really could have got a chance to really see a fully healthy IT. But
and I mean, and considering how going back to what you said, how he scores, he's not wanting to go big on isolation. You know what I'm saying? He needs to pick.
Kyrie's more of an isolation player.
Yeah, Kyrie's more of an isolation player. Like Isaiah needs a pick. You know what I'm saying, to get open. He needs opportunity to get open. So if you need that, LeBron is your best option. And for him not to work it out, that what I'm saying, I feel like that's more on him. Let's go a little bit past the Cavaliers because there was another kind of big trade. Clippers star player that they said they were going to commit to prior to the season. Had to put his name up in the rafters before it was like, you're going to be a lifelong Clipper. Blake Griffin ends up getting traded to the Detroit Pistons. Ends up, partnering
with... It's so cold in the day.
It's so cold in the day.
Not in the sunny LA anymore for Blake. He's out in cold Detroit. Playing with Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, Stanley Johnson.
Have to start it off with Reggie Jackson.
He's hurt. I mean, he is their next best player.
Reggie ain't never there.
But I mean, Detroit is 28-29 right now in their record. They're 9th seed in the East and right behind Miami, who's 30-28. So, with the addition of Blake, do you guys see, the Pistons having a chance of taking the Miami's AC spot? Because Philadelphia is at 7 and they're at 30-25, and I don't think Detroit will be able to catch up with Philadelphia.
1.5 games. I mean, that's going to be a battle. I think coming down to. I think that's going to come down to the wire. I think Miami and Detroit, for the most part, are probably going to have similar records to finish out the season. I mean, because you got a lot of teams in the East from 6 through 9 it's only really a half game or 2 games splitting, between each other. So
yeah, but I mean, between those teams you're talking about, it's Milwaukee and Philadelphia, and I feel like they're
Facts.
a lot far ahead of Miami.
Washington still ain't got John Wall. They've been winning.
They
won the first few without him, but
and then they lost. Yeah, that's true too.
We don't know how consistent that's gonna be.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is out of a lot of those teams, even the Pacers, Bucks, Sixers, Heat, I can't really see it necessarily like a clear maybe the Sixers. I think the Sixers probably have the best chance out of all of them. Milwaukee's getting Jabari, trying to get Jabari Parker. They just got him back, so they're trying to get him kind of back in the fold and healthy. And Detroit could also surprise you too. They might surprise us and get up. Maybe they get to the 8th spot. I don't think they get to the 7th or 6th spot. Just with Blake Griffin, I don't think that bumps them up ridiculously. I think they will win some games. I think at the end of the day, they end up getting to the 8th spot just because if the Heat, they lost Dion Waiters earlier in the year to injury. If the Heat would have had Dion Waiters, I think that's where that would have given them the edge. But now with Blake Griffin being on the Pistons now, I think that therefore gives the Pistons a little bit of an edge where they end up edging out Miami at the end of the year for the 8th spot. Blake does do enough. He does impact enough. We've seen, that they won their first 4 games, with him and Andre together. I think that tandem does work well together, a little high-low action. So,
but I don't know. Miami got Wade back.
They do got Wade back. They do got D-Wade back.
How D-Wade does in Miami. That's just where he wants to be.
That's true.
I know what he did in Miami. I don't know what he does.
I like the jerseys that they got.
He helps them win. That's what he does.
At this point, I don't know exactly what he does.
He might be able to keep him in the A seed at least. That's the Wade effect in Miami.
He might.
Wade County.
He might. I'm not saying.
I thought it was Dion Waiters' team. Did he say this was mine?
He out for the years. He got to be bigger than Dion Waiters now.
It's still Wade County.
Is D-Wade better than Dion Waiters?
Dion Waiters would average 20 in Miami and still be Wade County.
I didn't mean to say that, D-Wade. I didn't mean to say that.
Look what he doing. Look what he doing. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. I thought for the Clippers, the trade was kind of weird because, I'll start with the Pistons. The Pistons, yeah, that's cool. You got a little better, not a lot.
Yeah.
Blake's, obviously you added some star power to your team. Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, the production that you gave up for him is pretty much about the same. Avery Bradley's a good player. Tobias Harris a really good player. So, it's a cool trade. You get a little better, not a lot. It's going to work there. Him with Drummond is similar to him and DeAndre. But he needs his point guard back. Reggie, where you at? We need to see you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, pull up, bro. One time. So they need Reggie Jackson, but they might be able to get one of them spots in the East. We'll see.
Yeah.
For the Clippers, they had started winning games. They was right there in the 8th seed, and then you chip off Blake, and now you just just outside the playoffs, not necessarily a lottery team, but you out the playoffs.
Why would you?
I don't know what direction that's in. You don't want to be horrible, but you want to be okay.
And in the West,
usually you see a team wants to go complete rebuilding. Okay, ship off all the players, ship off all the big contracts. You still kept DeAndre Jordan. You extended Lou Williams. You still have some of these players that are helping you win some games, but it's not going to be enough to get you a playoff spot, which kind of leaves you in limbo.
Is that more for a move too that they could possibly try to get someone in the offseason? You know what I'm saying? It is an LA team. You know what I'm saying?
But just saying that it's LA doesn't necessarily mean, I gotta go be there.
Not anymore.
But if you can collect a big paycheck from Baltimore,
that's
true.
But if he's gonna pay you more than someone else is gonna pay you, but the market is most of the time gonna be matched.
Nowadays,
if somebody gives you an offer, somebody else is gonna try to give you that same offer.
And nowadays, the way the market is too, you don't necessarily only have to go to New York. You don't only have to go to Chicago. You don't only have to go to LA, and that's the big difference. Now you can spread out to New Orleans, to Charlotte if you need to Portland, and teams like that, and still get pretty good money.
Let's get back to Isaiah Thomas. We were talking about him earlier. His trade from Cleveland to LA, but let's talk about him being in LA and what's that looking like for him. We were talking about you know, he's trying to get that paycheck. He wants everybody to bring out the bring shirts for him. You know what I'm saying? Pay him out, whatnot. Is he gonna get that paycheck? What's it looking like for Isaiah right now?
It's not looking good. I hate to break it to him, but it's not looking good for the money. The Brinks truck is not pulling in. You know, all he can really do.
You might have to link up with Tory Lanez and go rob one.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think at this point, all he can do really is salvage. You know, try to keep on rehabbing, keep getting healthier, keep getting back into game shape, try to play out the rest of this season, and it's gonna be kind of a 50-50 Kanye shrug. I mean, what is he really gonna be able to? There's nothing guaranteed from any team that I think would sign him at this point right now for that amount of money that he thinks that he can get. I don't even think he necessarily, if he thinks right now that he's going to get a certain amount of money that's on the first tier type level of money, he is sorely mistaken. Because his agent was talking crazy too. Talking about he was going to start instantly as soon as he go to the Lakers. The agent said, wait a second, he's going to start, my player's going to start. He hasn't even landed in LAX yet. And the was already telling about, oh, he's putting out reports. He gonna start. How you gonna start? You ain't even landed yet. Where you gonna start? You ain't even met Luke Walton yet. So I just think that it's gonna be one of those situations where he's not really gonna have a guaranteed situation after this year. It's going to be a lot of 50-50, a lot of his agent probably calling a lot of different teams, and they're going to have to accept low money. I'm not saying like veteran minimum. I think by the end of the year, he'll definitely show that his stock is above that. But he might only get signed to like a 1 or 2 year deal. I really think that, because with an injury like the hip injury, we've seen guys like Bo Jackson, and that was in football. But we've also seen other players in different sports have hip injuries where they haven't even been able to play again. And they for sure weren't close to the same level. So,
especially considering the type of player Isaiah Thomas is that we're talking about.
Exactly.
He lives in the paint. He lives off the explosive, quick moves and whatnot. And
he's actually a physical player for being that small. He's shown, in the league that he can be a physical player, but he likes to finish at the rim. He needs his quickness. He needs his explosiveness, because as Leak pointed out earlier too, the height does matter sometimes. And if you're not excelling in any one category, whether it be your ball handling, whether it be your finesse, whether it be your athleticism, do you get to the rim? Are you quick? Do you use your explosiveness? Are you a great shooter? Are you a great perimeter player? Are you great on defense? Well, if you're not really,
can you facilitate?
Can you even facilitate as a point? If you're not excelling in any of those categories, I mean, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, and he wasn't playing defense with a good hip, so he's definitely not playing defense without that hip. It's not happening for him right now. The defensive side of the ball.
That's tough for him, because unfortunately it looks like the career carousel is not over for Isaiah. And when you undersized, you gotta overachieve in a lot of areas. You gotta excel in certain things, like Sean P was saying. So if you don't have the athleticism to jump out the gym or do these other things that other size guys can do, you have to be clicking on all cylinders in every other aspect, intangibles, defensive intensity. Muggsy Bogues was a great on-ball defender for the size that he was.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to make yourself, valuable in other ways. And unfortunately, in this contract year this year, he hasn't been able to do that or, prove that he's of value right now. And it's tough for him because he got played out in Boston. I mean, he played with the death of his sister and all that. Had a career year, great year in Boston. Tells management, okay, that's fine. I'll wait on my payday. I'll play another year. You go out in free agency, secure Gordon Hayward. Secure some other players, additions to this team. That's fine. I'm with it. And then you ship him off, still under the same deal that he's in with the injury. So now he's not even been able to prove himself.
Yes.
Carter, it's on him. I mean, he got to perform, but he kind of was dealt a tough stick. Everybody was rooting for him coming in, but then it was on him. He opened his mouth talking like he was, he was gonna come out and I'm gonna put up 30 and I'm gonna be the same dude that busted on all your point guards last year, and
I'm like,
he ain't back none of that.
Yeah, say
He
he's
had
gonna
one
average
MVP
30 points.
year.
And he's not even averaging half of that. He's at 14 points right now.
And it's crazy because I knew he was crazy last season. I knew he was crazy. He thought he was nice. First of all, he stole Damian Lillard's this. Don't forget, that's Dame's celebration.
I don't know
Stole
what
that
it
from me.
is.
He was Mr. Fourth Quarter last year, though.
He wasn't. He was until
That's fine.
I knew Russ wasn't going to let him have it. Russ snatched it from him in the last week. As
Russ
I knew
is
he
the best
would.
player in the world. We know
in
this.
just one week.
I knew Isaiah was crazy because he was talking like, yeah, I think I can outscore Russ. I think I can win the scoring title. Do you realize you talking about Russell Westbrook? You're not going to do nothing better than that man.
All right, Mr. Thunder over here.
That's
Mr. Thunder.
That's why I knew he was crazy. So that's on him.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, Isaiah, we talk about his injury, him just being ahead of himself in the whole process. I felt like in the whole time when he was in Cleveland, and like you said, just ahead of himself, even getting to LA.
I'm like,
hadn't even landed there yet.
Like, chill, bro.
I'm gonna start.
Let your game talk, man.
Like, I can almost picture that conversation like they're getting into the airport out of Cleveland, getting onto the plane, and him and his agent going back and forth like, yeah, you know what, man? I'm gonna start over Lonzo. I can picture them having that conversation. Like, I mean, come on.
And I mean, with short guys, they gotta have that sort of confidence. You know what I'm saying? That sort of juice to you in LA. Yeah, they need the complex. They need the complex.
We out here.
But you know what I'm saying? Don't get ahead of yourself.
What's
you
up?
still gotta come back from a hip injury. You still gotta put up 30 points like you talking.
Big.
And you gotta perform. But what I didn't like about Isaiah too is, just going back to him being in Cleveland, him just not being able to play with his teammates, not being able to adjust to his system, and not using a system around him, and it's messing up his career a little bit in a sense. And he did get dealt a bad hand, with Boston, Sister Don, hip injury, doing all he could to, get a win for Boston, end up, just getting shipped. But at the same time, we saw Paul George come from a horrific injury. Didn't say anything, but just put up the numbers, and he's in a better situation now playing with the Thunder. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came back a better player than he was before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And he just put in the work. Didn't say nothing, but like you said, let his play do the talking.
You gotta be careful talking so much. You're
Yeah.
giving, IT been giving so many sound bites to the media, putting attention. It's like you gotta play games. I mean, you
gotta produce,
Yeah.
especially in the situations you're giving. You were traded to that team to fill the shoes of Kyrie and to
to help try to get to the finals.
To help get to the finals, and you had a good shot, but you know what I'm saying, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, Isaiah. And
I mean, the first things first, you have to be a good teammate first. Before
at the end of the day, before anything happens.
you're a good basketball player, you got to be a good teammate first, especially when you're coming into a new environment. These dudes that you coming into the environment was your rivals the last couple of years. You got to be a good teammate first to even be able to begin to build chemistry on the court.
Yeah, and I mean, we had a whole segment about that earlier, about how important it is for players to be happy in their situations.
Chemistry.
Yeah, and the chemistry. And I mean, we saw LeBron just within that first game, with this new crew. He looked like a whole new basketball player. Doing all the new celebrations.
Doing the picture.
He had fun. He Chipper Jones with it.
Having a whole lot of
Chipper
fun.
Jones.
Like, I'm happy these cats are gone. Like, I got my new homies, we live now.
Okay, we young again.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how important it is to, really gel with your teammates. And, we're seeing that right now with the Thunder. And, you know what I'm saying, Paul George and, Russell Westbrook, starting to get comfortable, starting to get that chemistry. And, I mean, they're looking good even with Roberson going down. You know what I'm saying? They're still undefeated against the Warriors right now in the season. So, considering the chemistry and, things like that, Isaiah Thomas is going to need to work on that in the future if he is even thinking about collecting a paycheck or staying in the league long enough.
Yeah,
because Derrick Rose is jobless right now.
Yeah.
He's jobless right now. Former
Injuries and talking.
MVP. Yeah,
Injuries and talking.
It just disappeared. You know what I'm saying?
That's a bad combo, man. Stop talking while you hurt. Put your head down and bounce back.
So right now we're gonna transition out of the NBA trade deadline and the trades that just happened, and talk about this midway break in the NBA season, which is the All-Star Weekend. Something for years in the past was one of the biggest things in the NBA. between the All-Star game, the dunk contest, the three-point contest. I mean, you were seeing legends go at it, and I mean, I'm talking about go at it, especially in the All-Star game. Like they were going at each other, and even in the dunk contest, there was a certain mystique about that era and those times and those players and their attitudes and their mindsets.
Talking back and forth.
That made that made All-Star Weekend really big and winning those competitions big because it was bragging rights for them. You know what I'm saying? The dunk contest. I mean, you were talking. I'm the best dunker in the league. I'm the best three-point shooter in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the best out of all y'all All-Stars when I win the MVP. You know what I'm saying? So that certain mystique has been lost in a few. You know, has lost a little bit in this generation and a few years now. But this year we saw with the new All-Star format, it was done by the two highest voted, the highest voted in the West, highest voted in the East, which was LeBron and Steph, and then they picked teams. And this year it was great. The All-Star game was great. The game was great. It was competitive. Still high scoring. Obviously not a ton of defense, but definitely a lot more defense intensity and effort coming from them. Yeah, and it was competitive. The game was close the whole game. There was, I think, the biggest lead was like 7 points or 8 points.
Like 10 or something.
Yeah. But I mean, it was cut down real quick.
Close.
It was bronze teams that was down. They ended up winning it. Bronze team ended up winning it, but it was bronze teams that was down. And Bron, turned it up a little bit. Was like, yo, let's go. Started hitting some threes, brought them back. So how do you guys feel about this new format? Do you feel that mystique of the All-Star, game, is it gonna come back a little bit, or is it still gonna be slow? How y'all feel about it?
I felt it in the game for sure. On the Sunday night, the All-Star game, it was dope. They was hooping. I mean, like I said, it was still high scoring, but the defense was a different level than the past years. It's not gonna be a 200-point game.
Yeah. Or when Steph lays down, when
Steph laid down in the court. You know what I'm saying? There was actual defensive plays. The game was won on a defensive play. You know what I'm saying? So that was tight. They was playing. It makes the offensive player want to do more creative things to score on you.
Exactly.
Make tougher shots and stuff like that. So I like that a lot. I think they should televise the draft. That'll add some more flame to it. I mean, why is everybody so scared that somebody gonna get mad? Of course you're gonna get mad if you pick last ball then.
Ball, yeah.
Speaking of that, why didn't Jimmy Butler play? I don't know what that was about.
I still don't understand. He played 0 minutes, y'all.
But
why he didn't play?
The dunk contest was
it's slow.
Everybody missing. I mean, first of all, I didn't think Larry Nash should have been in the finals personally. Number one, you're the big power dunker in the contest. Why is Donovan Mitchell dunking with more power than you and you still make it to the finals? If a guard has more power than you, you should be eliminated.
Yeah, let's run through that real quick. So the dunk contest was won by Donovan Mitchell, Jazz rookie. The three-point contest was won by Devin Booker, Suns guard. And the skills challenge was won by Spencer Dinwiddie. So those are just, the winners for y'all in those challenges. How you feel about the All-Star Weekend?
I think, honestly, with the All-Star Weekend as a whole, I love, how they did it now this year where, you got the two, highest vote getters. You have Steph in the West. You have LeBron in the East. Being able to pick their own teams and, kind of have like a team captain, situation like that. That, to me, brought kind of like some more life, some new energy, and also some brand new intensity, too, with, you had, at one point on the court, there was one point, a few points in the game, especially in the fourth quarter, where we basically were looking at 9 of the top 10 players that were on the court at one time. That alone brought the intensity. We in here were watching the game and, we was clapping and, and getting into the game and stuff like that because...
standing up in the last, 10 seconds, like,
oh, go
on the edge of the seat.
Hold on, Russ, wait a second. That's a crazy shot. So, I mean, for me personally, and I think, I can say for all of us, I mean, it was more intensity. It was more consistent intensity. It was more consistent pressure, not only on offense, but we saw defense present throughout the whole entire game, as opposed to it was just the fourth quarter and the last 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes. I was starting to get tired of only seeing real competition in the last 5 minutes. We saw it throughout the whole game, and they were taking it seriously. The main and a lot of the reason they were taking it seriously too, not only because of the team captain situation, but also because there was incentives for the team that won. There was money incentives, and I think that was actually a big move by Adam Silver in the NBA to allow that for money to be involved in that situation, because that's always gonna motivate people. Number one, and number two, I love how they were able to pick their own teams and stuff like that too.
Because strategically too, LeBron picked pretty much the only two players that can defend him. He picked KD and he picked PG. I mean, he picked.
So come on,
he
now.
picked the defensive roster. He picked Russ. He picked. Aside from Draymond and maybe Jimmy Buckets, who didn't play again, LeBron. The way that he picked his team, it was kind of like the athletic defensive
Anthony Davis
team, AD, the athletic defensive team against the Steph shooting team. Like Steph's team represented him,
Shooters,
me, Dame Lillard, Harden, Klay Thompson. This is what we do.
Bron was more
and Bron's team
versatile.
represented him, me, Russ. You know what I'm saying? Like it was dope to see it like that.
Yeah.
Bron picked the two best point guards. Yes, I said two best point guards, Kyrie and Russell.
And he picked the two best wings, him, KD, and PG.
Oh yeah, it was big. It was BC.
But I mean, the All-Star Weekend, it was definitely, I think, a lot better from the game aspect. The dunk contest is still hard for me because the dunk contest honestly was one of my favorite when I was a kid.
Me
The dunks were so that they were just on a whole nother level than now. I feel like now the dunk contest is built more off the gimmicks. You know what I'm saying? Wearing masks, jumping off, jumping over cars or whatnot, and that's fine. But I'm still trying to see some really good dunks. And no offense to Larry Nash Jr. because he's a great dunker, in-game dunker, but you're not good for a dunk contest. You're just not athletic enough, and it's not on you. But I don't want to see you doing just regular dunks. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there needs to be a little more versatility with the dunkers, with the guys who are competing, and I want to see more dunks, more creativity in the dunks. And even though we've seen a lot of dunks over the years, so it's kind of hard to create something new.
That's the main part.
It's a lot of years.
We're removed from seeing a lot of these dunks now at this point, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
some of the cradles.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, too, because
depends on what age range we're talking about.
It's almost
too.
35 years of dunk contest now. I think it came in like 84, 85.
It came in 84.
So it's like almost 35 years of dunks that we've seen now. So it's like, what else are we inventing now? How many dudes is trying to do 540s and 720s?
Yeah.
And, it's hard to make some of the crazier dunks that we're seeing.
So that's what honestly.
Do we want to keep seeing the gimmicks though? Are you cool with the gimmicks?
I was just about to say, I like the props. I like even some of the gimmicks, even with Victor Oladipo having the Black Panther mask. I like it because number one,
if he would have made it, he would have shut it down.
Yeah. And Black Panther is a movie that just came out. It's a recency thing too, and especially when you're thinking of, you're looking at social media, you're looking at fans, you're looking at a lot of different things and a lot of different aspects nowadays. I personally don't mind the gimmicks. Yeah. Because the gimmicks do add some different uniqueness.
I like the Donovan Mitchell where he put on the Raptors jersey and he did a Vince Carter dunk. You know what I'm saying? I like that too, but a part of it too because he did a Vince Carter dunk too with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Also you gotta
even Dwight even Dwight had back in the day had on the Superman. The Superman cape.
And even the next year, Nate Robinson came with the Kryptonite.
Exactly. So those type of things I kind of like. Because at least there's a little bit of some sort of back and forth and stuff like that. Like what was it last year or a couple years ago when Aaron Gordon did the where he had.
Oh no, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
And that's the thing too. A couple years ago was dope. The Aaron Gordon. Zach LaVine battle.
They brought the creativity back. I mean,
and that's what I'm saying. So why was it? Why can they do it?
Well, here's the thing.
First of all,
give us at least 6 dunkers. Number one.
Yeah,
four was
too quick.
I mean, Jaylen Brown should have been in that contest. He showed you that the night before, and he showed you all season. He should have been in the contest. Donovan Mitchell should have been in before Aaron Gordon got hurt. Anyway, he should have already been included.
No, that's facts. It shouldn't even have been a reserve.
But at least give us 6. Because, I mean, Larry Nance did some good dunks. The double tap was dope. The one where he came from under the rim was cool. The cradle was cool. He did some okay dunks. But for me, if you're going to be a power dunker, you should not be getting outpowered by a guard.
He's kind of considered a power dunker, but Dennis Smith dunks more powerfully than him.
Well,
That's
Dennis.
what's kind of.
I mean, but that's why Dennis
That's
Smith
my
won the
point.
contest, though.
Dennis Smith had a chance, but he missed.
I mean, not Dennis Smith. I mean,
even Donovan. Donovan and Dennis can both. They both.
Yeah, but
can definitely done with power, but
and can do more in the air with it.
no,
So
that's
it's
facts.
like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge power dunker fan,
But I mean, the 3-point contest, Devin Booker won it. Obviously some good 3-point shooters in there, but definitely not the top. I mean, Kyle Lowry,
I know.
Ellington, and
Wayne was shooting good this year, but
just not some of the top. So
Yeah.
I mean, Clay, Bill,
Yeah.
Clay, PG
Gordon,
had 9. I'm not gonna let
PG
PG slip out of there. PG had 9, So that I can't let PG slip out of there. He don't really. I don't know if he want to play in the LA to stay.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to show them nothing. They don't need it.
That's crazy. He wasn't trying to show him anything. I give him due.
But that's it for Free Game Podcast tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in.
Free
It's
game.
EJ Edinburgh once again.
Man.
Sean P.
Tuning out.
If I'm lit there, then I'm lit here. I speak life, and there's no fear. And you like to listen, but you won't hear. They crucified Christ and still got spirit. Nothing hit the lights here. I can be light to the lights only.